The story begins by introducing a man named Guan Ning. Guan Ning had tragically lost his only daughter 6 years ago when she was kidnapped. Ever since then, Guan Ning had been having strange dreams, where he saw a city that seemed out of this world and a symbol that looked like a deity. Today is a crucial day for Guan Ning because he has finally tracked down the people responsible for his daughter's kidnapping 6 years ago. He takes action by throwing a stone at the kidnapper's car. It becomes evident that Guan Ning has a unique talent for accurate throwing as he hits the car precisely, making it swerve. He doesn't waste any time and launches an attack on the kidnappers. Sadly, one of them manages to strike Guan Ning from behind, causing him to lose consciousness. While the kidnappers manage to escape, Guan Ning opens the car's trunk, hoping to find his daughter inside. Among the children in the car, he doesn't find his daughter. Just then, the police arrive and discover Guan Ning inside the vehicle. They mistakenly believe him to be the kidnapper, and he becomes a victim of mistaken identity. Later that night, Guan Ning is found by the police taking photos of his daughter's belongings. The police confiscate the pictures, and in that moment, he decides to escape. Across the street, he spots an open car door and seizes the chance to get inside. To his surprise, the driver of the car, Tu Ling, already knows him. She introduces herself as Tu Ling and informs Guan Ning that she will be his partner. What's even more astonishing is that she seems to know everything about Guan Ning's life. Tu Ling gives him a choice. He can either stay and face arrest by the police or join her to have a chance at reuniting with his daughter. With the hope of seeing his daughter again, Guan Ning agrees to Tu Ling's offer and follows her to her headquarters. At the headquarters, Tu Ling reveals that she has located Guan Ning's daughter and shows him 5 pictures of a young child, one of whom might be his missing daughter. She also presents a live stream featuring a novelist named Kong Wen. Kong Wen is currently working on a novel titled The God of Killers, and oddly enough, the story closely resembles the recurring dreams that Guan Ning has been having. Even more strangely, when Kong Wen talks about the illness afflicting Redmayne, the main villain character in his novel, CEO Li Mu of Aladdin experiences a similar ailment to what's described in the book. Li Mu believes that whatever Kong Wen writes in his novel will come true in real life. To Li Mu, Kong Wen seems like an angel of death who can write about his demise at any moment. Now it's the 3rd time that Kong Wen has described the injury of the character Redmayne in his story. Strangely, Li Mu experiences the exact same events 3 times, just like what happened to Redmayne. It turns out that the Aladdin Corporation has been researching people with unique abilities. Some can't feel pain, some can generate electricity, and some, like Guan Ning, have an incredible accuracy when throwing things. Guan Ning has been under the watchful eye of the Aladdin Corporation for a while now. Tu Ling then reveals to Guan Ning that he has been chosen from a group of individuals for a special mission to assassinate Kong Wen. This mission will also serve as a DNA test to determine if any of the children suspected to be Guan Ning's daughter are indeed related to him. A few days later, Guan Ning begins his mission to keep a close watch on Kong Wen at his residence. Guan Ning has also been diligently recording all his dreams in a notebook. On the other hand, Kong Wen appears to be quite young and playful, often seen with teenagers. While they are in a library, Kong Wen notices Guan Ning following him and asks why he's tailing him. Not wanting to be caught and not ready to carry out the mission, Guan Ning pretends to be a fan. However, Kong Wen as always wears a mask during his live streams. Meanwhile, Tu Ling closely monitors the conversation between Guan Ning and Kong Wen. Tu Ling puts pressure on Guan Ning to carry out his mission and eliminate Kong Wen immediately. However, when a car suddenly threatens to run over Guan Ning, it's Kong Wen who comes to his rescue, saving him from the oncoming danger. This act of kindness leaves Guan Ning in a state of inner conflict. In a parallel world, the world that exists within Kong Wen's novel, we encounter a man named Kong Wen who happens to be the main character in the story. He finds himself being pursued by Redmayne's troops, the story's main antagonist. Fortunately, Kong Wen has a martial arts expert sister who rushes to his aid. She instructs Kong Wen to flee from danger. When Kong Wen decides to return to save his sister after falling from a cliff, it's already too late. Kongwen's sister lies dying, having been impaled by the old swordsman's weapon. Simultaneously, the old swordsman himself sustains severe injuries, with a weapon lodged in his back. Realizing that he can no longer fight, Kongwen seizes this opportunity to exact revenge for his sister's death. After a heartfelt burial for his sister, Kongwen makes a solemn promise to himself that he will no longer be a coward who constantly runs from Redmane's relentless pursuit. However, his determination faces a new challenge as a mysterious voice starts mocking his abilities. This eerie voice originates from the corpse of the old swordsman, and to Kongwen's astonishment, the old warrior's armor detaches and envelops him. This legendary armor is known as the Black Armor Dragon, which lay dormant inside the old warrior's body for 40 years. The Black Armor Dragon is a parasitic entity that relies on a host feeding on their blood to survive. Surprisingly, this time, the Black Armor Dragon is quite comfortable within Kongwen's body, and it expresses a willingness to help him seek vengeance against Redmane. Eventually, Kongwen arrives in one of the districts of Cloud City, which is under Redmane's control. There, a massive carnival is in progress, but it's actually a war preparation ceremony. Redmane ruthlessly orders each district to annihilate the others until nothing remains, igniting a brutal war. One district relies on archers for defense, while Kongwen's district deploys dragon balloons filled with oil, which are then targeted with flaming arrows. The war unfolds with great brutality, and ultimately, the neighboring district faces defeat. As is customary in war, looting and violence break out in the conquered territory. Witnessing the injustices and suffering that ensue, Kongwen becomes incensed. Suddenly, an envoy from Redmane, known as the Red Warriors, arrives on the scene. Immediately, all the residents bow down and scatter in fear. These Red Warriors have the ominous duty of eliminating anyone found outside after sunset. Back in the real world, Guan Ning, who has just awakened, faces a stern lecture from Tu Ling because he failed to execute his mission correctly. This prompts Guan Ning to seek out Kongwen once more. Kongwen returns Guan Ning's notebook, which he had left behind. He mentions that the notes in Guan Ning's book will serve as references for continuing his novel. Guan Ning, however, pays little attention to Kongwen's words. His determination now lies in killing Kongwen. Yet, doubt once again clouds his mind. Kongwen confides in Guan Ning, whom he has come to see as a friend. He carries a sense of guilt for not bringing happiness to his parents and a strong desire to make amends. While Kongwen continues the story of his novel, Guan Ning hides and throws a stone at Kongwen, causing him to lose consciousness. Once again, as he's on the verge of carrying out the execution, a child's voice singing a song that Guan Ning composed for his daughter when she was young reaches his ears. The song diverts Guan Ning's attention, and he immediately searches for the source of the voice. He ends up chasing the child who's singing the song. In his pursuit, Guan Ning stumbles upon one of the kidnappers involved in his daughter's abduction. He confronts the kidnapper, demanding to know the whereabouts of his daughter. However, the painful truth is revealed to Guan Ning when his daughter, Juzi, was kidnapped. She accidentally received a fatal overdose of a sedative from the kidnapper and passed away. This shatters Guan Ning emotionally. Fortunately, Tu Ling arrives just in time to help calm him down. The following day, Guan Ning encounters Kongwen once more. After unintentionally glimpsing his notes, Kongwen tells Guan Ning that he plans to create a character in his novel resembling Guan Ning. Kongwen shows him an incomplete story outline, and as Guan Ning reads it, he realizes that the story aligns perfectly with his recurring dreams. Additionally, in the novel, there's a 10-year-old character named Juzi, which is the same name as Guan Ning's daughter. This revelation shocks Guan Ning, leading him to believe that Kongwen's story has a connection to the real world, as Li Mu had suggested earlier. With this newfound understanding, Guan Ning decides to cease cooperating with Li Mu and instead chooses to help Kongwen continue his story. Meanwhile, in the parallel world, Kongwen encounters a 10-year-old girl named Juzi, who has tragically lost her sibling in the events of the previous night's war. Kongwen helps her bury her sibling, and as a final tribute, Juzi plays a haunting tune on her flute. The sound of Juzi's flute reaches the ears of the Red Warriors, who immediately rush to find her. With the sun about to set, a tense chase ensues among them. Seizing an opportunity when one of the Red Warriors is momentarily distracted, Kong Wen manages to strike him in the head with a sword, shattering his helmet. Strangely, as soon as the sun sets, the Red Warrior becomes completely still and petrified. Afterward, Ju Zi learns that Kong Wen is not from their city. She shares the city's history, explaining that Redmayne once had an adopted brother named Chan Lu. Both were highly esteemed generals of the Emperor. However, when the Emperor passed away suddenly, Redmayne demanded Chan Lu's allegiance. Chan Lu refused, and from that moment, he was branded a traitor, leading to the annihilation of his entire clan. Not long after, they all arrive at Ju Zi's house, where she reveals that her parents disappeared one evening. It's unclear whether they were killed or abducted, but one thing is certain, that the Red Warriors are responsible. Suddenly, robbers begin to converge on their location. Feeling cornered, Kong Wen calls upon the Black Armor for assistance. The Black Armor separates from Kong Wen and ruthlessly dispatches the robbers. It becomes evident that the Black Armor relishes the act of killing, as it has been dormant for a long time. As Black Armor moves to harm the child, an unexpected turn of events occurs. Its body suddenly freezes, as if someone is taking control. The reason behind this is the large amount of blood that Kong Wen had earlier given to Black Armor, granting him full control over the powerful entity. Back in the real world, Guan Ning has severed his ties with Li Mu and is now committed to helping Kong Wen finish his novel. Tu Ling, initially sent by Li Mu to replace Guan Ning in the mission to assassinate Kong Wen, stands at Kong Wen's doorstep. However, she overhears their conversation, in which Guan Ning inquires about a figure in a photograph belonging to Kong Wen's father. In the photo, Kong Wen's father is also seen with Li Mu. Kong Wen's father had tragically met with a mysterious death in an accident, mirroring the story of Redmayne and Chan Lu. Intrigued by this similarity, Tu Ling questions Li Mu about Kong Wen's father. However, Li Mu seems to withhold certain truths, possibly out of fear stemming from his comrade's demise. Tu Ling may also harbor concerns that she could meet a similar fate at the hands of Li Mu. Unbeknownst to her, Li Mu has already taken preemptive measures by dispatching two of his subordinates to apprehend Tu Ling and eliminate Kong Wen. Guan Ning, who had been keeping an eye out, becomes aware of the arrival of Li Mu's subordinates. He quickly urges Kong Wen to relocate to a safer spot. They find refuge in a secure room, where Guan Ning confronts the two agents sent by Li Mu to capture or eliminate them. A fierce battle erupts as Guan Ning faces off against two adversaries, each possessing unique abilities, one with invulnerability and the other with control over electricity. Despite the odds, Guan Ning's resourcefulness allows him to defeat the electrically charged agent by shaking hands within a wooden room while wearing rubber gloves, preventing the flow of electricity. Now only the invulnerable agent remains, and he injects himself with a drug that enhances his strength dramatically. Guan Ning is nearly defeated, but just in the nick of time, Tu Ling arrives and throws golf balls at the invulnerable agent, rendering him unconscious. Meanwhile, in the parallel world, Kong Wen continues to narrate his story, and its effects ripple immediately. Accompanied by Ju Zi, Kong Wen rushes to Redmayne's palace. Inside, they discover numerous Red Warriors, all asleep. It becomes clear that the strict curfew imposed on the residents was a cover-up to hide the fact that the Red Warriors slept at night. Kong Wen and Ju Zi proceed to enter Redmayne's palace, where they hear a commotion. Kong Wen challenges Redmayne, awakening him from his slumber. Redmayne invites Kong Wen to a location beneath a large tree, where Kong Wen's father had met his demise. Redmayne shares his longing for the days when he and Chan Lu were close friends, fighting side by side. However, their friendship crumbled due to Redmayne's greed. This led to a fierce battle between Kong Wen and Redmayne. Black Armor, as usual, separated itself to assist Kong Wen in defeating Redmayne, but it proved to be a difficult task. Black Armor even shattered into pieces in Redmayne's grasp. As Kong Wen found himself cornered and wounded, Ju Zi, who had been watching, attempted to divert Redmayne's attention by playing her flute. She believed that her music would summon her father, no matter where he was. Initially, Redmayne enjoyed the melody, but it soon began to annoy him. In an impulsive act, Redmayne devoured Juzi without hesitation. Consequently, the story came to an abrupt halt, because in the real world, one of Li Mu's subordinates had successfully injured Kong when requiring him to be hospitalized, causing the narrative in the parallel world to cease. In the end, Li Mu exults in his apparent victory, confident that Kong won't be able to finish his story. However, Guan Ning doesn't give up. He realizes that his recurring dreams were a call for help from Juzi in the parallel world. Determined to aid Juzi and continue Kong Wen's story, Guan Ning starts writing the next part of the novel, God's Slayer, allowing the story to resume. Inside Redmayne's stomach, Juzi continues to play her flute tirelessly, experiencing it all. Her father arrives miraculously to rescue her. In the parallel world, Juzi's father is none other than Guan Ning himself, who is a red warrior with a head injury from the previous day. A battle unfolds, and with his weapon, Guan Ning manages to corner Redmayne. Guan Ning leads Redmayne to where Kong Wen is, ready to make a daring leap towards the sword lodged in Redmayne's head. With Guan Ning's assistance, Kong Wen inflicts injuries on Redmayne's body, eventually defeating him, bringing the story to a conclusion. In the real world, with hopes that his writing will become reality, Guan Ning steps outside, yearning to find his daughter alive. Miraculously, he finally reunites with his daughter, who stands right before him, accompanied by the child who sang the song the previous day. In the parallel world, Black Armor remains alive, and Guan Ning apologizes to his daughter. The film concludes. Moral lesson from the story: throwing stones at kidnappers' cars may not bring back your daughter, but chasing dreams and writing stories can make miracles happen, even in parallel worlds.